Hello, everybody. Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio, and another Aftermarket Weekly, week 157 with Tatsu Tsuchida. I interviewed you, Tatsu. How long ago was it? A few years now?
It's been a few, yeah, more than a few years. I'm guessing maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
You told us a great story about how you love to take things apart. Your dad started 45 years ago in 78. I mean, just a great all-American service professional story. I mean, just legacy stuff. Is your dad still working?
My dad still works with me. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's a little bit of both. I
Uh,
really would wish to see him retire,
yeah, I
but
bet you would. I mean, but I guess the worst thing about it is that he'd have to know that he had a place to come to every day because you can't take the work out of the man.
yeah. So
Well, hey, we're so glad you're here. Got a lot of really cool things to talk about. Tatsu bought his second shop about, what, a little over a year ago.
yeah,
Huge shop. We're going to give you a tour of that huge shop. Can't wait to show you that. Hey, listen, everything we do is on our YouTube channel, Carm Capriato. It shows in the show notes for every one of these that you would see on our website or on the podcast player. You can get a chance to actually watch the video. So if you're listening through audio, we always have video for you. Thank you so much to Dorman, coming to you live from the Dorman OE Fix Studio, sometimes called my Carm Cave.
Knuckles. We all know are important connection points between the wheel and the vehicle suspension, connecting hubs, bearings, calipers, struts, and control arms. Steering and suspension knuckles often need replacement after collisions, curb strikes, or rust-related issues, and bearings can simply wear out, often after 75,000 miles. Unfortunately, when it comes time to replace a knuckle or a press-in bearing, there's often rust. That can result in hours of labor that require a shop press and risks potentially damaging the knuckle or backing plate. Dorman has created a time-saving solution with their loaded knuckles. These knuckles are complete assemblies that are tech-preferred. They are an easy bolt-on solution for difficult bearing and knuckle replacements that save significant time and money for you and your customer. An OE Fix is a Dorman repair solution you can't get from the original equipment manufacturer, and it means they found a situation where they believe the OEM wasn't giving repair professionals what they wanted, so we fixed it. Everything Dorman does is centered around providing customer value, both in the quality of products and the creativity of solutions. Our engineers and designers, well, they go out of their way to save repair technicians time and save vehicle owners money. Replacing rear-wheel bearings on some Toyota trucks can be extremely frustrating. The bearing housing often becomes damaged when the old bearing is pressed out or when the new bearing is pressed in. Not only that, but a shop press may or may not be available. To assist with jobs like this, Dorman has developed a 90-plus minute time-saving solution with their OE Fix pre-assembled axles. These bolt-on solutions eliminate the uncertainty of performing this basic repair with all of the major components such as the axle, bearing, backing plate, bolts, and seals already assembled and ready to install right out of the box. Want to learn more about Dorman's innovations? Well, visit dormanproducts.com/tour.
Thank you, Dorman. Great relationship with that group out there in Philadelphia and worldwide. Dorman Products. Tatsu, look, you have such a great story. I love the fact that you're all Toyota. And then when I asked Tatsu off camera, he says, no, we bought an all makes and all models shop. So I think part of the great storyline and having a great conversation with you here today is you told me that you were working more your marketing on your Toyota exclusivity. And I would love to hear about, because I think everybody has a challenge. What's the focus on our business and how do we go about marketing it? So all makes, all models. And then we had to do something we're expert at.
so in March we took over an all makes all model shops, and I don't have the demand here in Costa Mesa to necessarily kick out everybody right now, right? And I don't have any intentions to do that right now. So although my marketing here in Costa Mesa does not explicitly say that we are an all makes all model shop. I'm not exactly turning down that work right now. And I do need to make a correction. I'm not just Toyota. I'm all everything Japanese.
Right.
So my shop in Placentia currently does nothing but Japanese. It's full, busy, almost all the time. So what does that tell you? And people from very, very far away will seek me out because I'm the Japanese car expert, right? So um, you everything you lose from putting that kind of stake in the ground and saying, "Hey, I'm Japanese only," you gain from getting that kind of the person that will seek you out, right? They think that you're worth the extra money. You're worth what you say you are worth, and they don't mind paying 1.2 to 1.5 times more for that expertise. Um, that's just it. I mean, if you say that you specialize in something, you specialize in something, and then people will find you.
So take us back to when you purchased the place in all makes and all models. Was it a great going, thriving business?
Yes and no. I mean, this shop never advertised. The previous owner was doing a lot of sublet work for the body shops in the neighborhood, which we still currently are. We also do work for Hertz, the rental car company, um, basically putting reconditioning the cars for sale. That part of the business may or may not go completely away at some, but I would, to be honest, I would like it to, but but as more and more customers trickle into the shop, I will have a little bit more better command of what the shop looks like, whereas currently I'm a little bit more a slave to the previous owner's ways of doing things. So
So
yeah.
how do you make that transition, and how far into it are you? I think it's very valuable for us to understand that you was all the marketing that you did only Japanese focused then, since you opened?
Pretty much. I mean, except for the occasional person that will come at me with like at a chamber of commerce meeting, or hey, I have a Mercedes Benz, I have a Chevy truck. Those private conversations I might have with people that know me in the community, I'll be like, yeah, bring it down. That's no problem, right? But in terms of what my online presence is, it's all Japanese all the time.
I
So.
got it. I got it. No problem finding the kind of text that you need to do an all Japanese program?
Well, okay, so I was having a conversation with John from Domestic Diesel, right? And I told him he has something very special. Not everybody understands diesel. A general shop kind of plays well into Japanese because it's not that big of a stretch for them to transition to that. So the technician already has the tool set. In fact, all they have to do is, instead of pulling the drawer for the standard wrenches, he's pulling the drawer for the metric, right?
Sure, sure.
And they worked on everything already, so it wasn't that big of a transition. Um, they I was lucky when I took over this place. The owner kind of kept it hush hush that he was selling the business to the employees. I mean, they had no freaking clue. So um, I was also lucky in the fact that the employees that he had here were very competent at what they do. So when the day that came that he said he decided that he was going to tell everyone that it was going to retire, I was right next to him, and he said, "Hey, guess what? I'm retiring. I sold the business, right? And this is your new boss if you are willing to accept him." And then I did my little spiel. It sounded a lot like Cecil because I joked that I've been brainwashed by Cecil. Um, but I said, hey, well, we're going to do 3 year, 36,000 mile warranty. I'm going to market to Japanese cars. Um, here's the pay structure. I have all these things that are a lot more structured than the old owner was. So they took to it. They said, "Oh, dude, I love every concept that you're talking about," and so they all stayed, all the employees. So I was very fortunate in that as well. So
Thank you for sharing that, because a
yeah.
lot of owners or potential buyers and shops that are expanding from 2, 3, 4, 5 stores, there's that moment when you're in front of the new team. And a lot of people sweat that big time until you can get it under your belt and feel super confident with it. What was your first go around like?
Well, consider the alternative, right? What the old owner wasn't as invested in the shop as he should have been. He wanted out. Had he started to tell the employees that he was selling the business 6 months ago, what might have happened is that the employees might have started looking for another job.
Sure.
And I kind of thank him up and down just for not doing that, right? Just say, here, push me off the ledge, and here you go, and this is your new boss, and everybody just signed up with me. So that I was just very fortunate with that. So
Well, good for you. Good for you. So does your mom still work in the business? I'd love to know that.
yes.
So mom and dad are still there.
Mom and dad are still here. We're transitioning to having my gal Nicole. She's going to take over mom's role here soon. So it's been a work in progress because mom is super old school. Everything's paper written. She doesn't even know how to use Excel properly. So it's just like, well, Nicole, I need you. I need you to get my papers in order so she can comfortably leave. And we were aiming for March for her to leave, but it didn't quite happen. But we're well on our way. It feels good to know that those type of papers are starting to get together. I think within the next month or two, I should have Nicole have full control. And Nicole's a former service writer of mine too, so she's been hanging out around the shop. She went on maternity leave, I believe it was in 2017, and then she's been just kind of doing things in the background from home uh, while raising her kids. So
It's fascinating, Tatsu, that the easing of the parents in and out of a business is so, you know, hard to do, especially if
it's
they're
been a
not
long
saying,
time.
yeah, they're not coming to you and saying, I'm out of this thing. You've got to learn how to run it. But it's a place to go each and every day.
Yeah, and especially when you're dealing with first generation Japanese or any immigrant parent, right? Is that their whole identity is wrapped up in what they do. So, I mean, to a certain extent, my whole identity is wrapped up in what I do. But I think I have a better idea of my exit strategy, even though I haven't fully formulated it, right? But um, I would hope that by the time I get to 60 something or early 70s, I would have an exit strategy, right? If my body will let me. So
I know exactly right, and I think it's amazing that you're already thinking about that. Um, how is it sitting around the dinner table, at holidays? Just do you talk work or you talk family?
it's more work. Um it's a little awkward, I'll be honest with you. My parents, um their love language is kind of being harsh on the kids. So it just, talk business, talk business, talk business, and not really all that lovey-dove kind of. It's a typical Japanese family. I mean, I kind of wish they were a little bit more involved with family type stuff, but you know what, they're too busy. They're at the shop. So
You
um,
had said in one of our previous interviews, Tatsu, about you went to Japan for a bit, if I recall,
yeah,
and that really changed you. What parts changed?
I'm the only child. Um,
Ah,
and family dynamic when you're the only child, um, is that you're spoiled. you don't have a work ethic, especially when when dad owns a shop, right? When I remember in my late teens, early 20s, I thought I owned the freaking place.
Oh, there
So
wasn't
like
any arrogance there, was there?
absolutely, there was arrogance right
I
there, right?
see.
Like, you ever been to that restaurant where the immigrant family opened up like a pho shop or a ramen shop or a sushi restaurant? It doesn't matter, right? Or even if you're talking Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
But the point is that the kid is the waiter or waitress, and they're just awful. Like,
Oh my
you got,
God.
yeah. So I was that kid. Like
Oh,
like
I get it
yeah,
now.
I was the child translator. When I was in my early teens, they would put me in very adult situations when I don't have a English vocabulary that is that developed, right? I went from, I would say, from 0 years of age to 7 years of age, only really knowing Japanese. Getting That was my first language, although it's not my primary language anymore. But that was my first language, so I would get teased at school, be put into and then from there, English starts to take over, right? And all of a sudden, my parents are they're in this world, America, that is very foreign to them. So they don't know how to do. This place is very litigious. I mean, everything's a freaking contract, and they'll put a very lengthy document in front of me, which at 10 years of age, I'm not going to be able to read a half of this stuff because the vocabulary is not there, right? So I'm like, I don't know what this means, right? But they had this weird, like, expectation that I would. So
Who, your
that's
parents or
yeah,
the
my
customer?
parents. Yeah,
Okay. All right. All right.
the parents would put that on me,
Very disciplined, very structured.
yeah,
And
not
so you
very.
had to go to Japan just to get out from under the weight of that, but you also became humble, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Japan really. My first year in Japan, I was teaching English, and my second year, I decided I was going to move over to Osaka, which is a big harbor terminal, kind of like Los Angeles is in the sense that it's a shipping terminal. And I had a friend there that was doing clips, or taking Japanese cars apart, sending them overseas for parts. Because over in Japan, they don't drive nearly as much as we do here in the States, right? They might get 30, 40, 50,000 miles tops before they get junked. And to us, that's a car that's relatively new. Um, yeah, you're looking at. You gave me a kind of a strange look at as the whole reason why JDM parts exist, is because there's so much mass transit there. There's so much infrastructure there for people to get around without a
Sure,
car.
sure. Is it still
What
big right now there? Like to do that?
It's still there. It's not nearly as big as it used to be. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I was, that whole Honda Civic, put a bigger motor in it kind of thing. That
Oh,
was
sure.
my background in hot rodding. My generation, right? I was the generation that kind of inspired the Fast and the Furious movies. Because, like, we had here in California, we had like Battle of the Imports in the late 90s. People were drag racing Honda Civics. I'm sorry, my nose itches. And that was kind of the background, right? I had a Honda Accord that I put a Prelude motor in it. I fully carb legaled it. I put so many go fast parts into that car. But the kind of the reason why that whole tuner crowd existed is like the Honda Civic, right? You had a single overhead cam motor that was the only thing that was available in the States at that point. So they would look overseas and say, hey, well, Japan's throwing away these cars, and that market kind of was spawned from that. Is, hey, let's bring over all these motors over that aren't exactly legal, and these kids. I didn't. Most kids wouldn't go through the trouble that I went to. I carb legaled my Honda Accord, but most kids were just putting the motor in, and then they would go if they had to smog the car, they would go pay someone off like I don't know $300-400 at a smog shop, and I don't encourage that, but and pay someone to pass them the smog. They didn't care, right? So that whole tuner car crowd was me. Again, me and my friends and this extended network of mostly Asian kids, right? We're doing this, and I think that's what really, in fact, I know it inspired the Fast and the Furious movies because some of my friends worked on set. So
What? How old are you then? Are you Gen X?
I am the tail
Oh,
end of Gen X.
tail
Yeah,
end. Okay, got it.
yeah.
Got it.
So
Yeah,
I
makes sense.
Xenial. I think that's what they call us because we
Oh, right on the edge, huh?
yeah. So half of my life was analog, half of my life is digital.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How cool is
So
that? And you need analog to do carbs, right, baby?
right.
I know.
So
Hey, this was great. I think I can go on and listen to you forever, but I want to see the shop tour that you're going to kind of narrate for us. So appreciate Kim and Brian Walker from Shop Marketing Pros that did a tour this year, and they're seem to be going everywhere in their motorhome, and they stopped into Tokyo Automotive,
yep.
especially your new store, and we're gonna get a tour as you narrate. And look at that! Look who's in front of that picture. It must be you.
Yeah. So that's the front of the shop. To the right is a bunch of other shops. Hopefully one day I'll own this place, but this place is currently a rent situation. I
Okay.
have first right of refusal, so hopefully this place is huge. It doesn't look that big from the front.
So wait a minute. I want to stop the tape here. Orange County Automotive, was that the former owner?
Former owner is Orange Coast Automotive.
And you left
So
the logo on there not to confuse anybody?
I wanted to capture the old customer base
Okay,
if they were willing.
got
Quite
it.
frankly, a lot of them were frugal, so I did. As some of them left, that's fine with me. Um, yeah.
Very
So
beautiful showroom
yeah,
here.
I did nothing to it. It was already that beautiful when I got there. So
Very nice. Big place. What is that, like 10,000 square feet?
it is 10,000 square feet. That's Larry, my service manager. That's kind of the part. That's the parts room and also the lunch room. Um, and then, yeah, the restrooms are to the left. I wish I had enough money to remodel them at this point, but I don't yet.
Looks like about 7 vehicles in there.
It's actually 8. There's a wall all the way back there that hides another lift. It
Got it.
used to be, believe it. So these vents to the left, it used to be a skateboard
Oh,
manufacturing shop. So these
ah,
vents would suck out the fumes from the paint.
okay.
Yeah. So I forgot. I think it was Vision Skateboards or something of that nature. I don't remember what skate shop it used to be.
Oh, I see the wall.
Yeah. So the old owner started to knock down the wall, but he never really finished. Um, here you go. It's a Ferrari. Some of the body shops farm out work to us. So
Like what kind of work?
mostly alignments. But this car right here that you see in front of you is I believe a Mercedes. Yeah, it's a Mercedes, I believe. I don't know enough about these cars. I'm the least likely person to be working on a car in this particular shop because all my tools are at Placentia shop. So I know very little about the back end of the shop.
But you're not still working in the bays, no matter
No,
where. Yeah, okay.
no,
You're
but
up
there
and out of the
was
business.
like last week I had a guy out sick and a guy quit on me 2 months ago. So I went to the other shop and worked on cars over there. But here at this shop, I don't know my way around this shop. So
And
I'm
that's
more of a
okay.
yeah, that's fine. I it, we're to a certain extent, this shop is much more self-sufficient in some ways.
About your leadership team, the manager of this operation did someone from this place arise to be a manager, or did you bring someone from your other shop?
No, like I said, everybody stayed. The person that you saw in the lunch/parts room,
Yeah,
Larry, he was already a manager. He's been at this shop for 35 years.
got it.
Um,
What's it take to train someone onto your systems and culture? Was there a lot of effort in that?
Jeez. That's the, you remember our first interview. You had said, "Hey, this guy's not, you know, self-described as not as far along as he wishes to be." I'm still that guy. I'm still loosey goosey. I don't have
Wait a minute. Cecil has not given you the structure, the goalposts?
Oh, he totally has. I'm the
Ah.
worst. I'm his worst student. Right?
He's the one you're talking. He talks about you in every class
Yeah, yeah. I'm
without
his best.
mentioning your name.
Yeah, no. He always says I've given him all the tools, but he hasn't taken to all of it, right? But at least I have the mentality. It's not written down, but everybody here knows that what's expected of them, right?
Got it. Yeah.
It's more verbal, unfortunately. But I believe what's going to happen here soon, as things start to progress. Nicole takes over more. I'm copying myself onto Nicole, right? I'm copying myself onto Kevin, who's at the other shop, and things will start to free up a bit. And I think the bottleneck has been my mom and dad. It's just because they haven't completely let go of that. So,
yeah.
and partially my fault. Obviously, I probably should be writing down more standard operating procedures and how to do things. But my day is kind of taken up by trying to put out fires, because some of the stuff that is not only created by them but by everybody else, right? So, yeah, my day is very busy. So
You're really a kind of, you know what you need to do, what you want to do. You probably have your own talent, your own gift, and yet mom and dad are components of everything that you want to do in the business, and they may not necessarily like it, want to adapt to it, all of that stuff. So you're just kind of, if you will, coasting at whatever level 8, waiting to go to 10.
yeah, that's fine with me. I'm not necessarily blaming them for stuff, because
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
if I don't,
yeah,
if they didn't start the business, if dad
yeah.
didn't start the business, I wouldn't have it. So
Their legacy. I mean,
yeah,
so many owners and sons and daughters of owners, the legacy of where they're at because of the parent, it's tough. Unfortunately, the parents don't want to lean in your way and realize what it is that you want to do, and they're literally on their perpetual autopilot, and they just don't want to, not necessarily get out of the way, but move to the side, voluntarily move to the side, and until they get either coaching or
well, they
they
can't, right? Because they don't
yeah,
understand
yeah, no,
English, right? So
yeah,
they're not gonna. But yeah,
I get
yeah.
it.
But
Hey,
they're getting to the age where they kind of at the timeout. So
all kinds of great wisdom here that if anyone does invest in the time and listening to this podcast or watch this video, I think they're going to pull a lot of great takeaways from you to help them run a whole lot better business. This was great. Placentia and Costa Mesa, California multi-shop owner Tatsu Tsuchida from Tokyo Automotive. It was great. Thank you so much for coming on again, and thanks to Kim and Brian for the video.
thank you.